Jake Paul just got exposed by a pissed-off Oscar De La Hoya, and it has the entire fight world talking. Yep, the boxing promoter spilled the beans on the YouTuber-turned-boxer. From Jake's dirty tactics to cheating plans, the cat is out of the bag, and Oscar won't be letting the problem child off the hook anytime soon. He's all like, Jake Paul is a fraud, he's juiced to the gills, and the fight world is catching on to it. Golden Boy has thrown a major punch at the internet sensation turned boxer. And the media? They're throwing haymakers right back. Let's break it down. Oscar De La Hoya has dropped a bombshell on Jake Paul. The Golden Boy himself has come out swinging, calling Jake a fraud. It's a full-on takedown, and it's brutal. Oscar's basically laid bare Jake's entire career strategy. He's called out Jake for building his entire boxing career on the backs of retired athletes and washed-up celebrities. MMA fighters, NBA players, even YouTubers. It's been a who's who of easy targets. Jake Paul has mastered the art of self-promotion. He's loud, brash, and always in your face. But beneath all the hype, Oscar says there's very little substance. He's called out Jake for ducking real boxers, for picking opponents he knows he can beat. It's a damning indictment of Jake's career. Oscar's saying that Jake is all talk, no fight when it comes to facing actual boxing talent. Now, Oscar De La Hoya isn't just some random guy throwing accusations around. He's a legend in the boxing world. 6-time world champion and Olympic gold medalist. He's seen it all, done it all. His opinion carries weight. When Oscar De La Hoya says something, people listen. So when he calls Jake Paul a fraud, it's a big deal. It's like the godfather of boxing saying, this guy's a fake. It's a massive blow to Jake's reputation. To really understand why Oscar De La Hoya's takedown of Jake Paul is causing such a stir, we need to dive deep into Jake's career. Let's get into the nitty-gritty. Jake started as a YouTuber, right? Got a massive following and built a brand. Then he decided to become a boxer. Now, who has he fought? A bunch of retired MMA guys, past their prime athletes, and other YouTubers. It's like he's cherry-picking opponents. Ben Askren, Nate Robinson, Anderson Silva, Tyron Woodley, Nate Diaz, you name him. The only real boxer he's faced is Tommy Fury, and we all saw how that ended. Tommy handed him a loss on a silver platter. Jake's got no real boxing skills. He's all flash, no substance. He acts like he's the king of the world, but in reality, he's just a YouTuber playing dress-up. So is Jake Paul just picking fights he knows he can win with overwhelming physical advantages? De La Hoya sure seems to think so. Love him or hate him, De La Hoya's comments have definitely thrown gasoline on the already burning debate surrounding Jake Paul's place in the boxing world. Of course, the media has reacted to this fiasco, and the boxing community seems to be in agreement with Oscar's 2 cents. Yeah, the entire boxing world is basically lining up to take shots at the problem child. It's like everyone's watching this slow-motion train wreck and can't look away. But Oscar's takedown doesn't stop there. He's also exposed Jake's shady weight manipulation tactics. Let's talk about weight classes. In boxing, weight is everything. It's about finding the right matchup. But Jake, it seems, has a unique way of doing things. He's been accused of cherry-picking weight limits to give himself a massive advantage. Take his fight with Mike Perry, for example. It was in Tampa, Florida. Jake picked up a 6th-round TKO victory, dropping Perry 3 times before the fight was stopped. On paper, it looked like a competitive match. But when you saw those two in the ring, the size difference was glaring. Jake asked for a catch weight of 200 pounds, which is already high for a welterweight like Perry, putting him at a disadvantage from the start. Come fight night, Jake was easily 220 pounds, while Perry was barely 190. That's a 30-pound difference. That's like fighting someone in a different weight class. Jake's clearly manipulating the system to his advantage. He's picking opponents who are smaller and weaker, and then he's bulking up to create a massive size disparity. It's not fair, and it's certainly not the spirit of boxing. Oscar De La Hoya is calling this out, and he's not holding back. This is just another example of Jake's gamesmanship. He's not just a bad boxer, he's a bad sport.
And Jake Paul trying to climb the ladder through Mike Tyson, it's not a good look for him. But if Jake Paul wants to,
De La Hoya doesn't mince words here. He's putting Jake on a blast for his upcoming money grab fights that are a disgrace to boxing. The boxing promoter is painting Jake as this master manipulator who's carefully crafting his career like a chess game, picking opponents based on their bankability, not their boxing prowess. He's saying that Jake's whole shtick is about making money, not making history. And let's be real, the guy's got a point. Jake's fight card is looking more like a Hollywood blockbuster than a boxing event. It's all about the hype, the drama, and the dollar signs. You know, the glitz and glam of the boxing world. But here's where it gets juicy. Oscar's accusing Jake of picking on guys who are past their prime. Retired or washed up, it doesn't matter. It's all about padding that record with easy knockout. Oscar's all like Jake Paul is a clown in a boxing ring, a fraud with a microphone. He's cheapening the sweet science with every fight he takes. Oscar's basically saying Jake is all smoke and mirrors, a carefully constructed image of a knockout artist, but when you peel back the layers, there's not much substance there. He's challenging Jake to step up, fight real boxers, and prove he's actually got the skills to back up all the hype. It's a bold accusation, and it's definitely stirring up the pot. And with the biggest fight of Jake's career coming up next, Oscar is only shaking his head at the whole fiasco. Yep, I'm talking about the elephant in the room. Jake's highly anticipated fight with boxing legend Mike Tyson. Now, the boxing promoter was never on board with Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul when it first hit the news. Yeah, this matchup really had everyone, and their grandmas scratching their heads. I mean, think about it, a newbie YouTuber turned boxer stepping into the ring with the greatest heavyweight of all time. It wasn't just a mismatch on paper, it was a blatant disrespect for the sport and a slap in the face to a legend. Let's break it down for a sec. This matchup was sending the fight world into a frenzy. People were hyped up, bets were placed, and the excitement was through the roof. And then bam, the fight's called off. Turns out Mike had a health hiccup on his cross-country fight from Miami to Los Angeles. The boxing legend had an ulcer flare-up and required assistance 30 minutes before the plane landed. When you've got a man pushing 60s gearing up for a boxing fight, health episodes are inevitable. But Iron Mike assured fans that this wasn't going to affect the bout, only to call off the whole shebang a few days later. I want to thank my fans around the world for their support and understanding during this time. Unfortunately, due to my ulcer flare-up, I have been advised by my doctor to lighten my training for a few weeks to rest and recover. My body is in better overall shape than it has been since the 1990s, and I will be back to my full training schedule soon. Jake Paul, this may have bought you some time, but in the end, you will still be knocked out and out of boxing for good. I appreciate everyone's patience and can't wait to deliver an unforgettable performance later this year. Now, this matchup hasn't completely fallen apart, which means the highly anticipated bout will now take place on November 15th, 2024 at the AT&T Arena. Iron Mike is unlike any opponent Jake Paul has ever faced. Come on, Mike is the face of the sport after all. So Jake's gearing up like never before. Oscar's got a point because this upcoming matchup is not looking good for Jake. It's another example of Paul choosing opponents that maximize attention while minimizing risk. Sure, the fight will be huge, but is it a true test of Jake Paul's boxing ability? Many fans and experts are skeptical. Now, Jake feels the pressure to stay in the spotlight. But by facing a much older opponent, it's like he's taking the easy way out. It's a risky gamble, and it could backfire big time if he doesn't deliver a knockout performance. But you know, this fight is bringing him the only thing Paul cares about, the cash and the fame. Jake's all about the glitz and glam of boxing. The part where you have to put on gloves and step into the ring? Yeah, he's not too crazy about it. This Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul fight has caught everyone's eyes, and fans can't help but talk about it. This fight is a make-or-break moment for Jake Paul. A win against Mike Tyson, no matter how old he is, would undoubtedly send shockwaves through the boxing world. But let's be real. If Jake's expecting everyone to kiss his feet and hail him as the new boxing king, he's in for a rude awakening. Beating a 58-year-old Tyson, even if it's a legendary one, won't erase the narrative that he's cherry-picking opponents. Boxing pundits like Joe Rogan, Eddie Hearn, and even Oscar de la Hoya are already tearing into this matchup. They see it as a desperate attempt by Paul to stay relevant and boost his profile. By agreeing to fight Tyson, Jake is not only showing incredible nerve or stupidity, but he's also trying to tarnish the legacy of one of the greatest boxers of all time. Let's be clear, nothing Jake does can diminish Mike Tyson's legendary status. Tyson built his legacy through countless grueling fights against the best in the world. Jake Paul, on the other hand, has made a career out of fighting washed-up boxers and reality TV stars. De La Hoya's done with Jake's tactics, and he's after the YouTuber-turned-boxer. The boxing promoter isn't holding back the least. He wants Jake to either step up or shut up with his whole king of the boxing world persona. This was simply a verbal smackdown, but if Jake keeps poking the bear, Oscar's gonna take things too far. Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see how it all plays out. So, there you go, Fight World. That's all I have for you today. What do you think about Jake Paul getting exposed by a pissed-off Oscar de la Hoya? Fill in the comment section with your thoughts. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more boxing news. See you in the next video.